Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Village Board meeting to order on Monday, December 2nd, 2019. Before we start with the formal agenda, I just wanted to make note of the passing of one of our own very early yesterday morning. Retired Deputy Chief Andy Hole retired in August of 2017 after 30 years in the Arlington Heights Police Department. I had the honor and privilege of working with Andy for 27 of those 30 years. I know he was a close friend, highly respected to not only those in our police department, but in our entire village. And so he will be greatly missed. And so our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife, Ingrid, his 3 children, Amanda, Matthew, and Melissa, and all those who were so impacted on a daily basis by Deputy Chief Hole. And so we will dearly miss him. And so if you would just join me in a brief moment of silence for our friend, Deputy Chief Hole. Thank you. Right now we're very pleased to be joined by Cub Scout Pack number 129 from Southminster Presbyterian Church. And we're joined by their leaders, Bert Piccioni and Dr. Catherine Wood. And we will ask them to introduce the Scouts who will be leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance today.
Good evening. Joining me this evening from Pack 129 are another leader named Zach Novick, Cub Scouts Gianni Scaletta, Zach Walter, Dylan Ferguson, Dylan Piccioni, Nathan Trudeau, Matthew Hervas, Jacob Papirski, Gabriel Novick, Patrick Karafotias, Matthew Karafotias, Khalil Patel, Nick Sokola, Rhett Sokola, and Nick Cacciabando.
Please take it away.
Would the audience please rise for the presenting of the flags? Color guard attention. Color guard forward march. Halt. Color guard present the flags. Color guard salute. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard return to ranks. Color guard about face. Forward march. Dismissed.
All right, please join me in a round of applause for your job. Well done. And you may be seated. Thank you. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Tinaglia, Trustee Scaletta,
Here.
Trustee Canty,
Here.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Here.
Trustee LaBedz,
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Here.
Trustee Baldino,
Here.
Trustee Padovani, President Hayes.
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. We've got 3 sets to approve tonight. The first is from the Committee of the Whole meeting of October 28, 2019. Are there any changes or passes?
Move approval. Second.
Motion to approve by Trustee Rosenberg, second by Trustee Baldino. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, the minutes from the committee, from the Village Board meeting dated November 18, 2019. Any changes or passes?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by trustee LaBedz, second by trustee Rosenberg. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And finally, the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting from November 4, 2019. Any changes or passes?
Pass.
Move
Passed
approval.
by trustee Rosenberg.
Second.
Motion to approve by trustee Baldino, second by trustee Canty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next is the approval of accounts payable, and I call on trustee Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes. I would move approval of the warrant register with a check date of November 30th, 2019 in the amount of $8,696,343.57.
Second.
Motion by trustee Rosenberg, second by trustee Scaletta. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Next, we move on to public hearings, and we do have a public hearing tonight on the proposed 2020 Village of Arlington Heights budget. I need a motion to open the public hearing
So move.
by trustee LaBedz,
Second.
by trustee Scaletta. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion is granted, and so we are now in a public hearing. Mr. Recklaus.
Thank you, Mayor. Back in November, staff presented a $177 million budget plan. This is coupled with a 0% increase in the village's property tax levy. This was one of many meetings or many opportunities where members of the public had the opportunity to comment on issues that feed into the budget. We made the budget document public back in October, and we did receive some public comment via email and some during the two budget meetings that we had. The public hearing is something that's required as a more formal mechanism to receive public feedback, and obviously the board can take any input we receive prior to the approval of the formal budget on the December 16th meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Recklaus. Any questions or comments from the board before we go to the audience? Seeing none, we do have one blue card on this agenda item. Keith Moens.
Good evening, all. Let's see here. Yes, just a couple comments before we proceed here in the public hearing, and one on the proposed budget in the public hearing. The first comment is, for those of us that have our household income that's well below the Arlington Heights median income level, which I believe is $87,790. That is that half of the households in Arlington Heights are above the median, half are below. This 0% increase in the tax levy makes a big difference to everyone, proportionally, but especially to those that are below the median income. That may be difficult, I think, for many of us here in this room that earn well above that median income and could never imagine living on anything less than that level. Literally, every little bit helps. So that is appreciated. President Hayes, I would ask that you ask Mr. Keene and Mr. Recklaus to please make this flat tax a trend and not just a 1-in-a-5-year event. Even during some of the slump years, I think the village had been able to maintain high fund surpluses, such as in the general fund, that we can be used to offset some of any future tax increases going forward. So again, we look forward to next year and hope we can keep this trend going. My second thought tonight is, as we discussed below, this budget public hearing tonight is really only to satisfy an Illinois statute, and I think it's 50 ILCS 330, that says that at least one public hearing shall be held. And this is not to get any meaningful public input. I tend to differ on that, since I think the vote is tonight to approve this budget. I do recognize the village efforts to engage the public in the budget process. I fully recognize that and appreciate it through online access and committee of the whole public meetings. However, this budget public hearing right now, just before the board votes to approve this budget, seems to be pretty futile, beyond satisfying this Illinois statute requirement. There's really nothing anyone can say right now during this public hearing, I think, that can make any difference. The Illinois statute says at least one public hearing. That means there could be more public hearings on this. And I would please ask you to consider adding another budget public hearing maybe in June or September as the budget is formulating, and you can get, real public input as you move forward. Thank you all. You have a great holiday, and the best to you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you. Just in response, this may be the first formal public hearing, but we've had many public meetings on the budget over the course of the last year, all of which were advertised and noticed legally and open to the public, and we did take public comment at a number of those meetings, and so this is certainly not the first opportunity that the residents of the Village of Arlington Heights have had to weigh in on this budget and during this budget process. And not just in public forums like this, but also through online surveys and submissions and contact with board members. And so we've certainly received a lot of public input over the course of the last year, leading up to the culmination of the process, which is this evening. So
I completely agree with you, President Hazen. My comment is that there was a notice put in the paper, and that, what can be done at this point with the public hearing. A public hearing part, just moving that forward, I think could improve that and formalize that input. That's my comment.
okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, I have no other blue cards on the budget. Is there one other? Melissa?
Randy wants to.
Randy, did you have something else?
Yeah,
to add?
and Mr. Bones was correct. I mistakenly said this was being voted on at the second meeting. It is being voted on at the meeting this evening, so I apologize.
Just give us your name, your full name, Melissa.
Care. Are there any plans to change the health department since the Cook County Health Systems has a facility in Arlington Heights?
Well, Mr. Reckless, you can probably address that. We certainly appreciate them being here, but that's over and above what we do. And so it kind of supplements what we do, but I don't know that it's going to impact.
The health department performs a variety of functions, including they do inspections for all of our restaurants. They do property inspections and ensure that they're being maintained at a certain level. They run the senior center. We maintain social services programs, including a general assistance program. So there's really not that much overlap with the clinic per se. The village did discontinue its immunization clinic a couple years back, and so that would be one area where there would have been an overlap. But we do something jointly now with Hoffman Estates as an alternative. But the short answer is no. There's not much overlap with what the county provides at that clinic and what the village's Health and Human Services Department provides.
Okay, and the senior center, do you know if they're having this big raffle there? I was walking through there today. Do you know if they use property tax money for that to set up that raffle?
I'm almost certain they do not. I'm sure that probably is one of the other agencies within the senior center that was running the raffle, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I can follow up on that.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wishes to address the board under the public hearing for the budget?
Mr. Mayor?
Trustee Scaletta.
Can I just respond specifically about the county and our health department? Over the past 10, 15 years, the county has had to tighten their budget, and with that, they have reduced the amount of services that they've provided, and a lot of times our health department has picked up that slack. I had an opportunity to visit the clinic up north, and while it is a state-of-the-art facility and very large, it is not full of health professionals. They're still trying to place doctors and dentists and nurses in that facility. And recently I read where they're trying to cut the budget on these clinics. So I'm sure at some point there's going to be a give and a take there. But the village over the years has picked up a lot of the, I don't want to call it slack, but a lot of the items that the county has started to wane off of providing. The Village of Arlington Heights has picked up on behalf of the village, on behalf of the residents of our village. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, anything further from the audience? Seeing none, anything further from the board? Then I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing by Trustee Scaletta, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. We move on then in the agenda to citizens to be heard. And I do have one blue card from an individual who wants to address the board on an item not on the agenda, and that's John Allen Borick. And Mr. Borick, you're just reminded of the 3-minute time limit.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and trustees, I'm John Allen Borick, a retired United Methodist pastor, and I'm sorry to learn about Deputy Chief Andy Wall. He and I served on the group Bridging the Black-White Divide. We came to know each other and respect each other, and he served faithfully and regularly until his retirement, and I thank you for mentioning him, and I'm sorry for his family. Well, thank you for being servant leaders in this community and for this opportunity to address an important matter to a growing number of citizens in the northwest suburbs, especially Arlington Heights. I invite those present who wish to see a more diverse and inclusive Arlington Heights to please stand. They're there. Good. Racism and its ugly manifestation will not go away. One glaring example is the community of Naperville, which received national exposure in the incident at Buffalo Wild Wings in late October. And just yesterday in the Chicago Tribune, this article, "I was a miserable black teen in Naperville in 1979. The city's lasting racism needs a deeper look." This could have been Arlington Heights or Park Ridge or any place out here. This issue needs to be addressed. While a municipality cannot mandate a more diverse and inclusive Arlington Heights, it can make people, and it cannot make people to be kinder. It could make some positive steps. One is to have an official, clearly stated, measurable policy on diversity and inclusion in hiring practices in all departments, especially in the police department. When I've spoken to even my more conservative friends and mentioned that, to my knowledge, Arlington Heights is the only police department in the northwest suburbs that does not have an African American anywhere in the police department, they state that it's incredulous in this day, knowing what is happening in police departments and people of color. I understand this situation may change soon. I hope you could find and develop a written policy. And secondly, to have a group of citizens who would like to work on ways that this community could be more inclusive and diversity, to correct the misspoken history of slavery, and to honor the contributions of African Americans. This is a stable, well-managed, fiscally responsible municipality. People are proud to live, work, shop, and worship here. You and we want to do better. We want to see a community that is a beacon of diversity and a model of inclusion. Now is the time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Borick. Mr. Recklouse, do you have any update on your efforts or anything that's happening?
Sure. Just a reminder, everybody, the Village Board did adopt as one of its 9 strategic priorities for the next 2-year cycle to encourage greater inclusion and diversity in the community and in the organization. Staff is working on a couple of different fronts. Number one, we're working with a number of local police agencies on an effort to find ways to encourage the recruitment of more minorities into our police departments. And we have we met on that most recently last month. We've had some correspondence in November, and we're planning a kind of a recruitment meeting coming up in March. There'll be more details on that coming soon. In addition, we're in the process of developing our business plan for the next 2-year cycle. HR department, we just had a meeting on this morning. One of their goals is to create a recruitment policy that will, proactively lay out steps for getting more candidates in who are minority status, and also we were meeting this morning as well on a program to eliminate barriers for individuals with disabilities to apply for positions within the village. So we are working on this effort on multiple fronts based on the direction of the board this summer.
All right, thank you, Mr. Recklouse.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borick. All right, I have no other blue cards from individuals who wish to address the board on an item not on the agenda, so we'll move on then to old business. And we do have one item to report out tonight from our committee of the whole meeting from earlier this evening, and I call on Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would move now, as I did earlier this evening, to recommend that the Village Board of Trustees recommend to the Liquor Commissioner the issuance of a Class AA liquor license to Brinker Restaurant Corporation, doing business as Chili's Grill and Bar, located at 640 East Rand Road.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Scaletta, second by Trustee Schwingbeck. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. Best of luck to you. Thank you. No other old business, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any members of the board who wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, any members of the audience wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, any members of the board wish to vote no or pass on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
By Trustee Baldino, seconded by Trustee Rosenberg. Any questions or comments from the board or the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Move on then to new business, and we do have one item tonight. That's the land use variation request and PUD amendment for Restore. Let me just locate this. It's a land use variation to permit a secondhand store in the B1 district. And a petitioner is present. Why don't you come forward, sir, and introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, Mayor. My name is Henry Tinaglia, attorney for Habitat for Humanity and the Restore application.
Thank you.
We appreciate the kind work and suggestions made by staff in our application. We're universally agreed with their recommendations for our Restore located at 955 East Rand Road. We had a very straightforward meeting with the Plant Commission, who I believe unanimously approved our petition for the land use variation and accompanying PUD amendment. And we appreciate your consideration of that. I have with us today Deanna Davies, who's the director of Restore for Habitat for Humanity here in northeastern Illinois, with a brief slide presentation, if you would entertain that.
Please, I think it's important for us to know a little bit more. I think it's kind of a unique business that we don't have a lot of in this area, and so we certainly appreciate some more information about what this is all about.
Thank you. Deanna?
Gotta remember how to do this. There we go. I'm Deanna Davies. I'm the Restore Director for Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley. And this is just a very brief slideshow to give you an overview. The mission is to bring people together and build homes, community, and hope. Habitat for Humanity International was founded in 1976. At this point, they're in 70 countries, and we have 1,250 affiliates around the country. Habitat for Humanity of Northern Fox Valley is an affiliate of Habitat for Humanity International, which is located in Marcus, Georgia. Jimmy Carter is their most famous volunteer. There are nearly 800 restores that our affiliates operate these restores. We accomplish our work at a community level, so our organization is independent. We have our own board of directors, we do our own fundraising, etc. We were founded in 1990, and for the last few years, we've been the ranked number one affiliate in Illinois and number 17 nationally for our service area. Our main programs, as many people know, are home building and lending. We have people who apply for homes, they're called partner families, and they're required to do 250 hours of sweat equity into their home. The homes are sold at fair market value. They're financed with 0% loans, and payments are below 30% of their borrower's income. We also do something called critical home repair, and that is most people who take advantage of that are senior citizens, and that is where people can apply to have work done on their home. They may have been cited for some reason by the community. And we pay 75% and homeowner pays 25%. In the last year, I believe we actually did 4 critical home repairs in Arlington Heights. There's a couple little examples of the houses that we do. So to restore, we're the sort of the Goodwill meets Home Depot kind of thing. We raise funds for our projects. That's the number one thing that we do. We also divert usable materials from landfill, and we provide new and gently used materials to the public, which for those who might be on a budget, it helps them to fix up their homes. What we sell is actually home improvement and building materials. So you can see that there's appliances, cabinets, doors, windows, et cetera. And that's where the Goodwill meets Home Depot kind of thing comes in. Right now we have 7 in restores in the Chicago and Chicagoland Collier counties. They're each run independently by their own affiliates. The restore in Elgin, we opened in 2006. We're 40,000 square feet open to the public. And fiscal year 19, which just passed, we did $1.5 million in sales. We estimate we diverted 960 tons from landfills, and our restore is ranked #1 in Illinois. And in the national ranking, we're number 6 in sales and number 15 in profit. We also helped another affiliate, Habitat for Humanity of Chicago, open up a restore for them in November 2014. We ran it for them for 5 years. That's a 29,000 square foot. They're in the number 2 restore. They did $1.44 million by this past year. And in the ranking, their sales is at 50 and profit at 33. And so when we were looking for a restore, we found this location, and we feel it is an ideal location for a restore here in Arlington Heights. It's approximately 27,000 square feet of retail floor and 10,000 square feet of warehouse, single story, street level, entrance. We have truck height docks and an open floor plan, and of course it's on a main artery. And that would be the end of my little PowerPoint.
Well, thank you for informing us about what this concept is all about. It is a really great program that benefits those in need, and so thank you for what you and
Sure.
all those in Habitat for Humanity and Restore have been doing since 2006, the first one?
Yeah,
opened?
well, in this sort of area, we were the second one in northern Illinois to open. The first one was in Gurnee, and we opened ours in 2006 in Elgin.
Thank you. If nothing further from you guys, I'm going to go to the staff for any comments that they have. Mr. Perkins?
Just briefly, Mayor and board members, this is recommended by staff and the Plan Commission. The 2 key items are land use variation to allow the actual sale of second-hand or lightly used fixtures and furnishings, and then the second major component is a parking variation. The building was built as a purpose built for a furniture store, which has a lower parking requirement of 49 spaces. There are 53 on site. A retail store would require 95 spaces for this size building. The petitioner did provide parking counts from their Elgin facility that indicated that at their peak demand there would still be a handful of spaces available. There are 3 conditions that we're recommending, both staff and the Plan Commission. The first is that the donated materials can only be delivered when the store is open. We don't want these large pieces being left outside in an unsightly manner. The second is they initially proposed a fenced merchandise area, and outdoor sales is not allowed in this district, so if they wish to do that in the future, they would have to submit a separate petition. Again, our concern is having large pieces like appliances and things outside, as an outside display, as opposed to keeping it internally within the store. And then the third is upgrading landscaping on the site to comply with the village's requirements. So those were the three recommendations. Plan Commission concurred with those, and I believe the petitioner did as well.
Just to confirm, is the petitioner in agreement with all the conditions?
Yes.
Okay. Questions from the board? Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's a great opportunity for our residents and your organization. I'm a supporter of Habitat for Humanity, so I'm happy to see you come to town.
That's great.
I think we have a common goal, which is, to increase and improve the affordable housing in our community and probably even wider than just Arlington Heights. So I had, when I read this, I was excited, but then also a little concerned, just because there's right in the middle of residential. Everything behind you is residential. So the couple of the concerns that I had, one is, what do you do to prevent people from just dumping on the property? And you say, well, why would you ask me that, but you wouldn't ask that to Walmart? But I guess the question is that, I've seen it at even like a Goodwill or something, where all of a sudden people start putting bags out there. And so my question to you is, because I operate some small shopping centers, and people dump like lumber and other items like behind the shopping center. And so if all of a sudden you're a place that like accepts that with open arms, what can you do to prevent people from just like all of a sudden dumping it by your door?
Well, the things that we have done in our places is we put up signs, obviously, no dumping allowed, and we have signs that indicate our hours of operation, et cetera. And we also have had cameras trained to those areas, so if we have somebody who, we can get that kind of information off of their license plates or whatever, and we can try and track that kind of person. But other than that, I don't know exactly how else we could avoid that. We don't really have too much of a problem where we are, so I don't know how much of a problem it would be in Arlington Heights, honestly.
Okay. Well, that's having cameras up and having signage up, I think, is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe even your signage would say that, that we're recording.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I think that, when I look at the design of the building, and I believe that the door where you would be loading product in is off the side street, correct?
Beverly, yeah.
Right. And right there's a residence. I can see from some
Sure.
of the documents that were provided to us, there's literally a residence. You share a boundary line.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I wanted to do was just make sure that that whatever we do here, while I think you'll have a great impact on our community, that we don't have a negative impact on the residents that live adjacent to your property. And I'm sure you don't want that either.
Absolutely not.
Okay. And so, because, I was reading some of the minutes, and it referenced some renderings that I didn't see in my packet, and maybe it's deeper in there and I just missed it. But is there going to be a fence between? I'm going to ask this to staff. Is there a fence between the shopping center and the resident to the west?
There's this image on the top that's looking west with the two truck docks, and there's a little kind of retaining wall and some evergreens. I can't tell whether there's a fence behind that or not, Trustee Scaletta.
Looks like maybe the petitioner has someone who has an answer.
Just come forward and give us your name, if you would.
Yeah, my name is Dave McKenzie.
Come forward to the podium, if you would.
My name is Dave McKenzie. I'm on the board of directors for the affiliate. Yes, there will be fencing placed along the retaining wall where it borders that residential space.
Excellent. Have you met that neighbor at all?
We have not.
No? Okay. it might be beneficial to you at some point just to introduce yourselves, just to start out on the right foot. I think this is an excellent use of this property, and I'm happy to hear that you guys are coming in and bringing value. You know, aside from some retail sales, the good work that you'll do in our community to benefit those who are looking for affordable housing or looking to improve their housing situation. I think that's all excellent, so thank you.
Certainly.
Anything else from the board? Trustee Rosenberg.
Thank you. Charles, should that be a condition that we should add then as far as the fence, or is
Actually, Trustee Rosenberg, I just pulled up the plan, and it does illustrate a privacy fencing along the top of that retaining wall coming out about the same distance of the depth of those loading docks.
Okay.
So it probably comes out about 20 to 25 feet estimate
all right
from the building.
So, Ms. Davies, when somebody drops off materials, I don't know, in that area, I guess it would be adjacent to the loading dock there? Would that where they would deliver it?
We're planning on installing an opening that people would kind of drive up and drop off a little bit further that way in the building.
To my right, your left, I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be like a flush to the ground doorway then?
Yes.
Okay.
An overhead type door.
So typically, if someone drops off materials, do you pretty much immediately then bring them into the
Yes.
facility?
We have staff and volunteers, they immediately bring it
Forklifts or
inside.
whatever you
Yep.
need. So what distinguishes the difference between what you deem as retail versus warehouse?
In the building itself?
Yes, because I think it said that, what was there, 10,000 square feet was,
Okay, yeah, that's there you go. The mustard colored would be the warehouse, and the larger space would be the retail.
so is typically when materials are brought in, they go into the warehouse first
They
and
go
then
into
to
the
the?
warehouse and they're processed, because we need to, whatever it is that we're dealing with, we may have to clean it up or what have you, price it, et cetera, and then we bring it out onto the sales floor after that. So yes, it goes into the warehouse and gets processed and goes out on the sales floor.
Okay. So is there a wall between the warehouse and the?
Yes.
Oh, there is, okay. So you just have
We have-
doorways or entrances that, okay,
Correct.
they carry that out. And I just want to make sure that Mr. Perkins mentioned that you will not be allowed to have outdoor storage. You're okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, that's the problem. Okay. No, I appreciate your coming to the village, and thank you for offering this. And then what I would suggest to you, if you don't mind, is that any kind of services that you offer, to residents or people in the area, that make our departments aware of that, both the building and the health department, that people are aware that you offer the fix-up of houses, like for low-income people and things like that. It would be a great knowledge to have in their department, so when people come in looking for things like that, they could have another source for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything further from the board? Trustee Baldino.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your interest in coming to Arlington Heights. As a former volunteer for Habitat, I'm glad to see you here. I do have a question, maybe a concern about the parking. You brought up Goodwill, and I know that, on the weekends when people are going to Goodwill or Salvation Army, those parking lots are full. And so my question is, are you comfortable with, we're waiving the parking study. Are you comfortable with the number of parking spots? I know you said that you studied the Elgin facility, and their highest utilization was 44 spaces. Are we really comfortable with that? Because, things can get pretty hectic at the other stores that aren't doing the same thing you are. But things get pretty crowded at those other locations.
Yes, I'm actually very comfortable with it. When one of the reasons we wanted to do the study was to sort of get an idea of where the #1 restore in Illinois and how it's doing out there in our lot. And so we were pleased to find out that we never exceeded that amount of parking spaces. And the type of things at Goodwill, it's a very different animal
Yeah,
altogether.
it is.
So, so I think I could see that being a busier parking lot just because it's the type of items that are sold there rather than at a restore.
Right, well, and that's, my concern is because, I understand that they have different items for sale and that sort of thing, but, I see how that gets, and I don't know how this is gonna go and how busy it's gonna get. I hope you're right, I think you're probably right, I just wanted to ask that question because it is something that I'm concerned about.
And I appreciate that question. I don't think we would be pursuing this really honestly if we didn't feel that we could provide parking for our customers, or adequate parking.
Okay, well, I guess there's the answer to my question. Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody else? Trustee LaBedz.
Thank you. I too want to thank you for coming here to Arlington Heights. I've never been in a restore, but I'd heard about them before, so I think the concept is terrific. I love the fact of so much tonnage being diverted from landfills. I mean, that is just really, besides helping those who in low income or moderate income, I mean, that's a tremendous thing for all of us. Absolutely. When that happens. I just have a couple questions. One of the things I read in the Planning Commission minutes, you talked about you have some new things, because I guess it came up that people were concerned, are you cannibalizing in a sense from the other home improvement stores, the Lowe's and things like Home Depot and stuff like that in the area, but they donate to you? Can you talk about that?
They absolutely do, yeah. We pick up from Lowe's in Arlington Heights regularly.
Oh, what kind of, just like merchandise changeovers, or I'm just curious?
Exactly. And we recently got, I want to say 2 truckloads of trim from Arlington Heights Lowe's. So it's just, it varies. It could be the packaging is changed, and so they have this leftover materials or whatever, or somebody returns something. But a good portion of our inventory is new, and the Lowe's and Home Depot and Ace Hardwares and whatnot, they all donate to us.
That's terrific. And the other question I have is, besides selling these large items like the appliances and cabinets and stuff like that, do people come to your store also for smaller things, tools, screws, nails, that kind of stuff? Is it all there?
It's all there.
Okay.
All there in living color.
Okay. Well, that's true. Those are the questions I have. I think it's marvelous. I'm glad you want to be here, and I would be prepared to make a motion if.
Please do.
Okay. I move to concur with the recommendation from the Plan Commission to allow for a variation, a land use variation to permit a secondhand store in the B1 district, an amendment to PUD Ordinance 72-052, and the following variations, 1 and 2, is listed in the Plan Commission recommendations.
Second.
Motion by Trustee LaBedz, seconded by Trustee Canty. Any further questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, congratulations,
Thank
and
you.
again, welcome to Arlington Heights.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Right, there's no other new business, so we move on then to legal, and we do have a number of ordinances to approve tonight related to our 2020 budget. And so who wants to take the first motion? Trustee Scaletta.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to staff again for the hard work that you did to put together the overall budget and tax levy. I think that you heard us loud and clear earlier in the year, and we appreciate the hard work that you did and the time that you guys put in to prepare for the budget meetings that we had last month in preparation to get us to where we're at today. So thank you. I would move to recommend that the village board approve the ordinance abating taxes levied for the year 2019 heretofore levied to pay principal and interest on $2,855,000 general obligation bonds, Series 2010 of the Village of Arlington Heights.
Second.
Motion by trustee Scaletta, second by trustee Rosenberg. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Let's state trustee Baldino.
Thank you, Mayor. I would recommend to the village that the village board approve the ordinance abating taxes levied for the year 2019, heretofore levied to pay principal and interest on $9,530,000 general obligation bonds, Series 2018 of the Village of Arlington Heights.
Second.
Motion by trustee Baldino, second by trustee Rosenberg. Any questions or comments from the board or the audience? Saying, we have one question. Melissa, you got to come forward. Melissa, there you go.
The agenda I'm looking at has 2018, not 2019.
You said 2018.
I think he did say 2018, but
You said 2019?
I think
Should
he
be
said
2018.
2018.
Okay, because I heard 2019.
For the year 2019, Series 2018.
All right, an ordinance abating taxes levied for the year 2018,
It is 18.
correct?
Rich.
Mr. Keeney.
I had just circled this too as I was looking at it. It should, you said it correctly, it should be 2019, because these are 2019 levy.
Okay. I'm reading from the agenda, so, yep.
Okay, are we squared away?
I don't know, are we? I'm
I'm
confused.
looking at the agenda as
Should-
well also.
We're gonna make it's like a Scrivener's error, we're gonna make the change on the ordinance before we send it to Cook County.
All right, give us again the change, the correct language.
For each of these, it's an ordinance abating taxes levied for the year 2019.
Okay.
Excuse me, point of motion. Do we need to re-vote on the first?
The first one, I said 2019 because it shows
They
it.
both said 2019, it's just the materials in your packet said 2018.
Okay.
So the electronic copy is correct, the hard copy is incorrect.
Yeah.
And I read from the electronic
There we
copy.
go.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out, Melissa. All right, we have a motion and a second. No other comments from the audience. Roll call.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Trustee Rosenberg.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd move to adopt an ordinance adopting a budget and appropriations ordinance and amounts set forth therein in the year commencing January 1st, 2020 and ending December 31st, 2020.
Second.
Motion by trustee Rosenberg, second by trustee LaBedz. Questions or comments from the board or the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes, and finally, the 2019 tax levy ordinance. Trustee Schwingbeck.
I would recommend that the village board approve the ordinance providing for the levy, assessment, and collection of the taxes for the budget year beginning January 1st, 2020, and ending December 31st, 2020 for the Village of Arlington Heights.
Second.
Motion by trustee Schwingbeck, second by trustee Canty. Anything further from the board or the audience? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Schwingbeck,
Yes?
Trustee Canty,
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz,
Yes.
Trustee Baldino,
Yes.
Trustee Rosenberg,
Yes.
Trustee Scaletta,
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Well, again, thank you to staff for all the hard work in getting us to this point, and congratulations to all those involved. And congratulations to our residents, who I think will be well served by this budget. All right, we move on then to the report of the village manager, Mr. Recklouse.
I think trustee Scaletta had something he wanted to
I
say.
just have one quick clarification. When we did that, the levy ordinance, does that include the library?
Yes, it does.
Don't we normally mention their name in our motion, or no?
No, we haven't. We
No?
just
Okay.
done on their behalf.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we give them some credit that they also had a 0% levy, and when they weren't mentioned in our ordinance, I always thought we did, but I could be wrong. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Recklaus, anything under your report?
Nothing further this evening.
Okay. Well, just under petitions and communications, we're well into the holiday season. I want to thank the Special Events Commission and the Park District and the Public Works Department for all the great work they did in the planning and execution of our holiday tree lighting. The day after Thanksgiving last week, we were blessed by good weather and I think a record turnout. It was really amazing to see all the people there, and the lights worked properly and turned on at the appropriate time. And so thanks to all those involved in that effort and for all of our residents and non-residents. I think we had a lot of visitors to town that evening as well. So thank you for that. We have lots more coming up to enjoy in the village of Arlington Heights in this holiday season. So just to mention a few things, this Friday at 4:30 p.m., Diana?
Yes.
From 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. at Harmony Park in downtown Arlington Heights, we have the fourth annual holiday happenings sponsored by the village of Arlington Heights with a lot of fun activities, sleigh rides, carolers, lots of good entertainment and food and stuff to drink. And so I think it'll be a great time. Hopefully the weather will cooperate for that as well. And then Saturday morning, the Rotary Santa Run, sponsored by the Arlington Heights Rotary, as well as a number of corporate sponsors. We thank them. And please join me and thousands of other Santas in running the streets of Arlington Heights this Saturday morning. And then next Saturday, December 14th, Saturday morning, we have the movie with the mayor across the street at CMX Theaters, starting at what time, John?
The doors open at 8 a.m. and the movie starts at 9 a.m.
All right, thank you. Please join us for that. And then Sunday afternoon, December 15th at 3 o'clock p.m. at Forest View Educational Center down on the south side. Please join me and others in listening to our own Arlington Heights Community Concert Band as they present their annual holiday concert. And there will be a special guest soloist performing with the concert band that afternoon. And so please join us there. And finally, Joe Keefe is not here today to give his annual advertisement, but I'll do it for him. In his absence, the Christmas Carol is at our own Metropolis Performing Arts Center from now until Christmas Eve, December 24th. So please take in a performance of the Christmas Carol in Arlington Heights this year. Anything else from the board? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
By Trustee LaBedz, seconded by Trustee Scaletta. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for joining us this evening.